Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. It's Kim here with Lewis from Nerd Report, filling in for Andy whilst he is on vacation. And we have been discussing more of the fallout surrounding the attempted assassination attempt of the former president, Donald Trump. And we have been talking a lot about the details of this building, this ridiculous building in which the attacker climbed up onto the building and then proceeded to deliver those shots. Unfortunately, one that did grazed the ear of the former president as well as took the life of a civilian and injured two others. And specifically, what we're talking about today is what has happened between the Secret Service and law enforcement. And that it seems that the Secret Service has been putting a lot of blame on law enforcement, even though the head of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle, has said that they take full responsibility, that this is on her. Yet she has not resigned at this time, and there's been a lot of criticism that has been thrown at her from both sides of the aisle, as well as the general public. So, Lewis, I'm going to go to you and ask you overall, as we're reading through all of this reporting, what do you think about this?
I think she's become a liability. She's flip flopping, obviously. I don't think she has fans on either side. And I think as being the director, the buck stops with her, and she's showing a lot of ego, Kim, in my opinion. And I think you read earlier, as of Tuesday, she said the cops are not responsible, and then on Wednesday they are. So there's flip flopping. But one thing, there may be a lot of lying and misdirect, but one thing that people that's not a liar or misdirect is what we're seeing with our own eyes.
Hmm.
And the fact is, there was a roof that was very easy to access, and there was a guy with a pew pew directly at the range of the former president.
Yes,
And that's a major dropping of the ball after everybody was talking about it. Everyone was warning them. That's all.
100%. So, one of the things I think people have been wondering is when we talk about the blame, when we talk about which organization should we be blaming for the failure in security. And to be clear, I think anytime that someone is hurt, for example, a former president is shot, this is obviously a security failure on every level. And I do believe that there should be accountability taken. But I don't know. I personally, I'm not sure how I feel about the responsibility being on the police because part of what we have spoken about today is that the police did, in fact, inform the Secret Service that they did not have the manpower to be able to secure that building. Yet, it seems like no action was taken. So, my question to you, Lewis, would be do you think the police hold responsibility, less responsibility, more responsibility, all the responsibility because this building was not properly secured? And does it put more blame on the Secret Service for not taking action?
I feel the police have some responsibility. And the reason being is because I believe Secret Service should know more, way more than the police. Then again, I'm not an expert as how that stuff works, but we have a perception, and I think it's real, and I think people here on Popcorn Planet would agree. Secret Service is the cream of the crop.
Hmm.
So they would know more about security threats, how to handle them, and to a certain extent have kind of a click higher a snob mentality, snobby mentality towards local police. So maybe not even take what they say serious at some points, unfortunately. So yes, police have some sort of responsibility, but I think it's 25% to 75% Secret Service. That's just my opinion. Again, I'm not an expert with that, but Kim, what we're seeing is not about manpower. It's not about the Secret Service, not about the police. We saw civilians unraveled his plot, the shooter's plot, easily. You could have had two people expose him and stop the shooting, or a million. It doesn't matter. It wasn't a complex plot. This 20-year-old did. It was a very simple. Let me just get on the highest top, right directly in the range of where the president or the former president was speaking. It doesn't take a genius to figure out or stop that from happening. So I don't think it's a manpower issue here. I think it's a dumb power or no lack of intelligence power, or I don't know, incompetence. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Um, do you think there's any way that Secret Service can evade blame for this? Because I personally don't. And I think it's kind of laughable that they're trying. Where do you sit on that?
Well, I mean, there are other people inside the Secret Service besides Kimberly.
Hmm.
She's the spokesperson. I don't know what they think. Some of them may be, they're under directions as well. They can't. Look, if this was a complex plot, Kim and chat, then I would be forgiving. But it was a Call of Duty video game, obvious nerd dweeb. This kid that's what he looked like, and he just outsmarted everyone. Or did he? Maybe they're just lazy, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe laziness is where the failure is. But this plot wasn't complex at all. It was I can't believe it.
Yeah.
These people get paid? How much do they get paid for this? Wow.
Yeah.
You
Um,
know?
what do you think needs to happen for the Secret Service to recover from this? What do they need to do? And I ask you specifically because you are an American. What would
Yes.
make you feel more confident in what they're doing?
First of all, I thank you for being thoughtful and saying, because I am American. Your opinion to me counts as well, and it should. Um, but I know you're asking me because I am here. But I think she needs to resign. Kimberly Chidler
Hmm.
needs to resign because she's hurting the Biden campaign. She looks incompetent. She was assigned by the president, I believe.
Hmm.
That is the fact. And that's where it starts. And maybe drink some coffee before you guys do this, because it looks like you all were asleep. That's what it looks like. Go to whatever, get some coffee, get a double shot, and be a little bit more alert. Okay? Because if something else would have happened, you can't reverse it. And I'm talking about ending the former president. You can't bring him back. You can bring him back from a little ear thingy, but the other way, it would have been a tragedy.
Hmm.
And stuff. We don't even know what would have happened. But there's got to be responsibility from the director, and that's where that's all symbolic too. That's all symbolic, because I'm sure if Kim, if she had another chance at this, she would check the rooftop,
I
or she
would
could go
hope
back in
so.
time. Yes.
I would hope
So
so.
I actually, ironically, I think the safest person right now is former President Trump. Right now, it's the safest person in the planet,
I would
because
hope.
yeah. But see, that's after last Saturday's incident,
Yeah. It shouldn't have
right?
taken that. It shouldn't have taken that. And I
Correct.
think that's part of it. Like, I it makes me sad that it even got to this point. Like, I don't understand this level of incompetence. Now, I also do want to say we are getting some reporting just coming in, and we will be going to this shortly. Once we finish our recap, we'll be going to this live. So, if you do want to see the full live, you can absolutely join us on Popcorn Planet. There's lots of different options for you to support us. We have membership as well as a Patreon. We would appreciate you subscribing, joining, liking, all of those good things to help us continue to bring you this coverage. We would so appreciate that. But I will say right off the bat here, it looks like a source has spoken to the Daily Mail who is absolutely furious from law enforcement. So local law enforcement is saying that the Secret Service is throwing them under the bus, claiming that the US Secret Service visited the rally location 1 month before and told them exactly what to do. So a source that spoke with the Daily Mail claims that they were responsible for the area outside the perimeter. So the Secret Service came out here more than a month ahead of time and met with all of the local agencies, an officer said. They tell us exactly what to do, exactly what they want, and exactly how they want it. It's all on them. This is absolutely passing the buck. So, with that in mind, Lewis, if that is true, how does that change anything for you? Do you still feel like law enforcement holds any responsibility on this?
I do feel like I still stand my ground. I feel they're 25% at
Okay.
least responsible. But again, the Secret Service, it's in the name. It's secret. They're not going to be telling the local law enforcement. Police officers here in the States, they're kind of almost civilians. They're not really, sure, they're officers, but they're not sworn to keep secrets, especially government secrets. To a certain extent, they are, I guess, if they're in a court case or whatever, criminal case. But it's the Secret Service. We're talking James Bond versus your local sheriff. So yeah, Secret Service looks bad here and stuff. Again, it's a director, whoever was making the directions, but there's a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of employees that probably looked at this and said, "Man, this is stupid. We're doing it wrong," and I don't want to blame them.
Yep,
So
I completely understand. Well, we're going to continue on our live and go through other hot topics of the day, including stories related to this unfortunate incident. And we would love for you guys to continue joining us if you are still watching. But if you are watching, as this is a standalone video, thanks so much for watching. And please remember to like and subscribe to Popcorn Planet for more further coverage on this topic. We will be continuing to follow it in the coming days. And we so appreciate you guys choosing us. And stay tuned for more on Popcorn Planet.
thank you.